The notification hit my phone at 2:47 a.m. while I was reviewing supply manifests in my quarters at Naval Station Rota. My name is Soren Mercer. I'm a 32-year-old Marine First Lieutenant currently deployed to Spain for the past 8 months. The alert came from my credit monitoring app, something I'd set up before to watch for identity theft while overseas. New account opened in your name. I stared at the screen. The account was with a credit union I'd never heard of, located in Bakersfield, California, 3,000 miles from my home base in North Carolina. 4,000 miles from where I sat in Spain. I opened the app fully. The details made my stomach drop. Someone had used my social security number to open a checking account 2 days ago. The application showed my correct personal information, birth date, mother's maiden name, even my military service number. But the address was wrong. 1247 Maple Street, Bakersfield. I'd never lived there, never even visited California. I called the credit union's fraud line immediately. The automated system put me on hold for 18 minutes. When a human finally answered, her voice was tired and distant. "Sir, I see the account here." It was opened in person, with proper identification. Military ID, social security card, utility bill for address verification. "That's impossible. I'm deployed overseas. The system shows valid documentation was provided. You'll need to file a police report and send us an affidavit." I hung up and pulled up my banking app. My primary account showed normal activity, automatic deposits, a few online purchases I'd made. Nothing unusual, but something felt wrong. The timing bothered me. Why Bakersfield? Why now? I grabbed my laptop and started digging. Credit reports, background checks, anything I could access with my military clearance credentials. The Maple Street address appeared on 3 other recent applications: a cell phone account, a store credit card, and a gym membership, all opened within the past month. All while I was here in Spain. Someone wasn't just stealing my identity, they were building a life with it. My phone buzzed again. Another alert. This time from my primary bank. A debit card had been issued to my account and shipped to that same Bakersfield address. I hadn't requested any debit card. The pieces started forming a pattern I didn't want to see. Someone had access to information only a few people knew. My social security number, my mother's maiden name, my service details. Someone close enough to know exactly what documents they'd need. The investigation consumed my off-duty hours for the next week. I mapped every fraudulent account, every fake address, every timeline discrepancy. The pattern emerged like a tactical briefing, methodical, deliberate, personal. Someone had been planning this for months. I called my father first. He'd raised me alone after Mom died when I was 12. We talked every few weeks, usually about baseball or his job at the county assessor's office. He knew my schedule, my financial situation, everything. "Dad, I need to ask you something. Has anyone contacted you about me recently? Anyone asking for personal information?" His voice sounded normal. Concerned. "No, son. Why? Is everything okay over there?" "Someone's using my identity, opening accounts, getting credit cards. They have information only family would know." "That's terrible, Soren. Identity theft is everywhere these days. You should call the police." "I will. I just wanted to make sure you hadn't given out any information accidentally." "Of course not. You know I'm careful about that stuff." We talked for 10 more minutes. He asked about my plans for leave. Everything seemed normal. But something nagged at me. A hesitation in his voice when I mentioned the Bakersfield address. Just a half-second pause, but I'd been trained to notice details. I started thinking about access. Who had my social security number? My mother's maiden name? My service records? The list was short. Military Personnel Office. My father. My ex-girlfriend Sarah. But we'd broken up 2 years ago, and she lived in Georgia. I pulled up the fraudulent accounts again. The Bakersfield address bothered me most. I'd never mentioned that city to anyone, never had any connection to it. I ran a property search on 1247 Maple Street. The house was a rental, owned by Pacific Coast Properties, managed by a local real estate company. I called them. "We don't give out tenant information," the receptionist said. "Privacy laws." "I'm military police investigating identity theft. Someone used my social security number to rent that property. You'll need a warrant for that information." I tried a different approach. Social media searches, reverse phone lookups, anything that might connect the Bakersfield address to someone I knew. Nothing. Then I remembered something. Last Christmas, my father had mentioned a friend from work who'd moved to California. Retirement, he'd said. Somewhere near Bakersfield. I called him back. "Dad, remember that guy from your office who moved to California? What was his name?" Another pause. Longer this time. "Why do you ask?" "The identity theft is connected to Bakersfield. I'm trying to figure out how someone picked that specific city. I don't remember his name, it was just casual conversation, but I could hear something in his voice now, stress. The same tone he'd used when I was a kid, and he was hiding something. I spent the next 3 days building a timeline. Every fraudulent account, every application date, every piece of documentation required. The pattern was too perfect. Too informed. Whoever did this knew my schedule exactly. They'd waited until I was overseas, then systematically opened accounts using my information. They knew I wouldn't be checking mail at my home address, wouldn't be monitoring every credit alert immediately. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. My buddy Martinez from communications had been helping me trace the digital footprints. He called me at 0300 local time. "Soren, you need to see this." I ran the phone number associated with that gym membership in Bakersfield. "What did you find?" "It's registered to a Thomas Mercer in Bakersfield, California." My blood went cold. Thomas was my father's first name. He'd always gone by Tom. "Send me everything you found." The file arrived in my email 10 minutes later. Phone records, address verification, even a copy of the gym membership application. The signature looked exactly like mine, but I knew I hadn't signed it. I stared at the documents for an hour. The handwriting was too perfect, too practiced. Someone had been copying my signature for a long time. I called the gym directly. "Pacific Fitness, this is Jenny. I need to verify membership information for Thomas Mercer. Account opened last month. I can't give out personal information unless you're the account holder." "I am the account holder. Someone stole my identity to open that account." "Sir, Mr. Mercer comes in here 3 times a week. He's definitely real. Nice older gentleman, says he's retired military." Retired military. My father had never served. "Can you describe him?" "I really shouldn't." "Please. This is identity theft. I'm active duty, deployed overseas. Someone is impersonating me." She hesitated. "Well, he's maybe 60 years old. Gray hair, about 6 feet tall, drives a blue Honda Civic." My father was 62, gray hair, 6 feet tall, and he'd bought a blue Honda Civic 6 months ago. I hung up and sat in my barracks room, staring at the call. Bank statements, credit applications, phone records, all pointing to the same impossible. My father had stolen my identity. He was living in Bakersfield, using my name, building credit with my social security number. While I was deployed, serving my country, he was systematically destroying my financial future. The man who'd raised me, who'd taught me about honor and integrity, had been planning this betrayal for months. I pulled up his recent phone calls to me. Every conversation replayed in my mind with new context. His questions about my schedule, his interest in my financial planning, his casual mentions of California. He'd been gathering intelligence. Preparing. The worst part was how long it had been going on. The first fraudulent account was opened 4 months ago. He'd been stealing from me since the beginning of my coy. I called Martinez back. "I need you to help me set up a sting operation." Martinez arrived at my barracks at 0800 the next morning with coffee and a laptop. "All right, Mercer, walk me through what we're dealing with." I spread the documents across my desk. Bank statements, credit applications, gym membership forms, all bearing my name and social security number, all signed in Bakersfield, California. "Your father's been busy," Martinez said, scanning the papers. This isn't amateur hour. He's got addresses, employment history, references. Someone coached him or he's done this before. He's never been in trouble with the law. Clean record. That you know of. Martinez pulled up a search engine. Let's dig deeper. We spent 2 hours building a timeline. The first account opened in March, 2 weeks after mine began. The most recent was last week. 7 different financial institutions, 3 credit cards, 2 personal loans, 1 auto loan for a 2019 Toyota Camry. He's escalating, Martinez observed. Started small with a gym membership, worked up to major purchases. Classic identity theft pattern. I called the State Attorney General's Cybercrimes Unit. The receptionist transferred me to Detective White from Computer Crimes. Detective White speaking. This is First Lieutenant Soren Mercer, U.S. Marines, stationed at Naval Station Rota. I need to report identity theft involving military benefits fraud. Military benefits? That makes this federal. Tell me what happened. I explained the situation. Detective White listened without interrupting. We'll need documentation and a formal statement. Can you email everything to our secure server? I'm deployed overseas. Can we handle this remotely? Absolutely. We work with deployed personnel regularly. I'll send you encrypted upload instructions. Within an hour, I'd transmitted every document to Detective White. She called back 30 minutes later. Mr. Mercer, this is extensive. Your father has established a complete false identity using your credentials. We're looking at multiple felonies here. What's the next step? We coordinate with local law enforcement in Bakersfield. Set up surveillance. Catch him in the Serbuff. I want to confront him first. Absolutely not. This is an active investigation now. Any contact could compromise our case. I understood the logic, but this was personal. My father had betrayed everything he'd taught me about honor and integrity. How long until you move? We need 2 weeks to build the case properly. Document his patterns, identify all the accounts, calculate total damages. 2 weeks felt like forever. Martinez and I spent the next 10 days gathering additional. We tracked his movements through credit card transactions, gas stations, restaurants, shopping centers, all in Bakersfield, all using my stolen identity. The pattern was clear. He visited the gym Monday, Wednesday, Friday, grocery shopping on Saturdays, banking on Tuesdays. Detective White called on day 12. We're ready to move. Bakersfield PD will arrest him Tuesday morning when he goes to the bank. We've confirmed he has an appointment to apply for another loan. What's the total damage? $47,000 across all accounts. Plus interest and fees, you're looking at $63,000 in fraudulent debt. My stomach dropped. $63,000. My entire savings, plus debt I'd never agreed to. We'll get it sorted out, Detective White assured me. Financial institutions are required to remove fraudulent charges once we provide the police report. Tuesday morning came. I sat in my barracks room, checking my phone every 5 minutes. Detective White had promised to call immediately after the arrest. At 1,100 hours, my phone rang. We got him, Detective White said. Thomas Mercer was arrested at First National Bank of Bakersfield while attempting to secure a $15,000 personal loan using your identity. Did he confess? He's claiming he had permission, says you gave him power of attorney before deploying. That's a lie. We know we found forged documents in his apartment. Military ID templates, signature practice sheets, even a fake power of attorney form with your forged signature. The fur was overwhelming. My father had been planning this for months, possibly years. What happens now? He's being held on $50,000 bail. The district attorney is filing charges for identity theft, fraud, and forgery. Federal charges might follow because of the military connection. 3 days later, Detective White called with an update. Your father wants to make a deal. His attorney is pushing for a plea agreement. What kind of deal? Full restitution, 3 years probation, community service, no jail time if he pays everything back within 90 days. And if he doesn't take the deal? 5 to 10 years in state prison. The pay is solid. I thought about it for 24 hours. Part of me wanted him to face the full consequences. But another part just wanted my life back. I'll accept the plea if he pays full restitution and admits guilt publicly. Done. The plea hearing was scheduled for the following week. I couldn't attend in person, but Detective White arranged for me to participate via video conference. I watched from my barracks as my father stood before the judge. He looked older, smaller somehow. The man who'd raised me, who'd taught me right from wrong, pleading guilty to stealing my identity. Mr. Mercer, do you understand the charges against you? Yes, Your Honor. And how do you plead to the charge of identity theft in the first degree? Guilty, Your Honor. The judge sentenced him to 3 years probation and ordered full restitution within 90 days. If he failed to pay, he'd serve the full prison sentence. Detective White called me after the hearing. He's already started liquidating assets, sold the Honda Civic, emptied his savings account. His attorney says he'll have the money within 60 days. What about the credit damage? All fraudulent accounts have been closed. Credit bureaus are removing the negative marks. Your credit score should recover within 6 months. The financial institutions moved quickly once they received the police reports. Every fraudulent charge was reversed. Every fake account was closed. My credit report was cleaned up within 2 weeks. But the personal damage would take longer to heal. I started helping other deployed service members protect their identities. Posted warnings on military forums about family member fraud. Shared my story with financial literacy classes on base. Martinez helped me set up credit monitoring alerts and identity protection services. We created a checklist for deployed personnel to secure their personal information. You turned this nightmare into something useful, Martinez said. Other people won't have to go through what you did. The money came back in installments over 8 weeks. My father sold his house, his car, everything he owned. Detective White confirmed the final payment on a Thursday afternoon. That's it, Mr. Mercer. $63,412. Full restitution complete. Is it really over? Legally, yes. He's still on probation for 3 years, but your case is closed. I never spoke to my father again. He sent one letter through his attorney, apologizing and claiming he'd been desperate after losing his job. But desperation didn't excuse betrayal. The investigation revealed he'd been unemployed for 8 months before starting the identity theft. Instead of asking for help, he'd chosen to steal from his deployed son. Some betrayals cut too deep for forgiveness. 12 months later, I was back at Naval Station Norfolk. The to Spain felt like another lifetime. My new assignment kept me busy with cybersecurity protocols and digital threat assessments. The apartment I rented was small but secure. 2-factor authentication on everything. Credit monitoring alerts set to immediate notification. Identity theft protection through 3 different services. Martinez had transferred to Camp Pendleton, but we stayed in touch. He'd helped 2 other Marines catch family member fraud using the methods we'd developed. Both cases were resolved before major damage occurred. Your checklist saved Staff Sergeant Rodriguez $20,000, Martinez texted me last month. His brother was opening credit cards using his address. I'd turned our investigation techniques into a comprehensive guide. The base financial counselor distributed it to every deploying unit. Simple steps that could prevent identity theft before it started. The nightmares had stopped around month 6. Sleep came easier when you knew your accounts were monitored and your credit was locked down tight. My father completed his probation without incident. Detective White sent me the final paperwork in February. Case officially closed. No contact between us since the sentencing. Some relationships couldn't survive betrayal. I'd made peace with that reality. The credit score had recovered completely. 812, higher than before the theft. The financial institutions had been thorough in their cleanup efforts. I wrote an ebook on protecting personal data while deployed. Published it through the base library system and military family support networks. 50 pages of practical advice, step-by-step security measures, and warning signs to watch for. The book had been downloaded over 3,000 times. Reviews mentioned it had helped prevent fraud cases across multiple bases. Last week, a young airman approached me at the commissary, said my guide had helped him catch his girlfriend stealing his identity while he was deployed to Afghanistan. She'd opened 4 credit cards and a car loan using his information. "Your book saved me from financial ruin, sir. Thank you." Those moments made the whole nightmare worthwhile. I'd learned to trust carefully and verify everything. Digital security had become second nature. Every account monitored, every transaction tracked, every piece of personal information protected. The betrayal had taught me valuable lessons about family, trust, and self-protection. Not all education came from textbooks or training manuals. Sometimes the hardest lessons came from the people closest to you. But I'd survived it, grown stronger, helped others avoid the same trap. The evening sun cast long shadows across the base housing. I sat on my small balcony, watching planes take off from the airfield. Another would come eventually. When it did, I'd be ready. My identity was secure. My finances were protected. My future was my own. It was finally over, and the silence felt earned.